1 in every 3 workers in California are considered low wage. 3 in 4 of those workers are people of color.
Historically, domestic workers have been excluded from basic labor protections.
It is not only because of the class contradictions, but it is also because of the racial contradictions. A view that somehow black and brown lives are not worthy.
In order for there to be real social justice in this country, there needs to be a vigorous labor movement.
In the state of California, there is a long tradition of workers of color occupying the lowest rungs of the employment ladder and taking those jobs which are low paid and the most difficult in terms of working conditions.
We know that racial equity is not the case currently because when we look at the statistics, we see that poverty is highest among indigenous workers, second highest among black workers.
Working people live in crisis every day, the crisis of getting fired because you spoke out about unequal pay, the crisis because you and your kids are severely ill because of the pollution coming out of that same warehouse and its trucks. And all of these crises for working people are being created by human choices. The choices of low-road employers, the choices of the policymakers that they lobby and back.
Hundreds of thousands of workers in our state every year don't receive the fair wages that are due. And across industries, we know that workers who may have a problem on the job or may have a labor right that's been violated, have a fear of bringing up those issues for fear of employer retaliation.
Nos notábamos que eran el robo de las cajas porque cuando llegaba el cheque de cada viernes, en los talones venía menos cajas de lo que nosotros anotábamos.
California is the 5th largest economy in the world. And as such, there is great poverty, there's great lack, but there's great opportunity.
Workers across industries have tremendous assets and tremendous contributions that they're making.
The California Coalition for Worker Power brought together worker organizers of all different racial backgrounds, different industries, and said, what is stopping working people from being able to stand up for what's right on the job and for being able to stand together and organize to shift the balance of power in our state?
There are about 350,000 domestic workers working in California who are primarily immigrant women of color. Domestic workers do the work that makes all other work possible. They actually deserve the right to have the basic protections that other workers have. We passed SB 321 in 2021, which created an advisory committee to develop basic health and safety guidelines that are voluntary.
Community partners are critical because they have an insight, and by building these community partnerships is a strategy for us to rebuild trust and hope.
The Inland Empire Black Workers Center was established to build power for those who are disenfranchised and marginalized. We've welcomed them into a fellowship so that they are not standing alone as a worker, so that they know that they have power.
There's nothing more powerful than people coming together and standing up and saying, we know what justice looks like. We know what this economy could be.
Yo tengo derecho de hablar, yo tengo derecho de reclamar mis robos de mis cajas, todo eso.
When people stand together and say this is not normal and things can be different, policymakers listen. And the public can't ignore it.
From the employer side, we're building a better economy. When those who are at the bottom are lifted, everybody rises.
We invest intently and robustly in an ecosystem of organizations, including community-based worker centers. And they're working and directly engaging and supporting workers and lifting up their voice to effect needed policy reform. We're working intently to ensure that these organizations work more collaboratively as a field, and they really work together to form solutions that can benefit more low-income workers in our state.
We see our role as being a source of funding to help community organizations, nonprofits, and community groups to be able to serve their communities well. We don't see our role as telling folks what to do, but rather listening to those community leaders to understand what they want to do and giving them the resources to do it.
What we're aiming to do in Fair Work is to ensure that workers have an important seat at the table on the decisions that affect their lives. To have your voice be part of the public discussion around solutions and how do we create a better California for everyone.